All right, we're just about ready.
Wow.
Weather brought to you by Quality Clean Janitorial Services.
This is Cindy. Leave the office work up to us.
For more information, go to springfieldofficecleaning.com. The views expressed on this show are those of the host, guest, and co-hosts, and not those of radio station KICK. Vision Communications Incorporated, its management or advertisers. Vision Communications Incorporated is not responsible for validity or accuracy of information presented on this program. Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Norm Shealy and Dr. Sergey Sorin. Get the health answers you need from the creator of holistic medicine and the 2020 Holistic Doctor of the Year. To be a part of the show, call 417-447-1777. Wellness Wednesday. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. Norm Shealy and Dr. Sergey Sorin.
And good afternoon. It's an exciting day to talk about health. In general, the most important thing in anyone's life, being healthy.
Indeed. And the topic for today's conversation on health, there's so many angles and so many ways to think about health, is setting intention for your life and for your health. So today's conversation is going to be on the practical aspects of setting intention, following your intentions, and what intentions are truly useful for you and what intentions do you need to reconsider. There's all sorts of good stuff that we're going to talk about today. And for the first half an hour, we'll just have a discussion. And the next half an hour, we're open for questions, comments, and anything else that comes.
And every day, you need supplements. I don't think it's possible to grow adequate nutrients because of pollution. The Industrial Revolution led to the greatest pollution in the history of the world. And so you need supplements. And in Springfield, it's Spring Valley Natural Foods, the place where I shop, and you should too. I like it because the service. You walk in the door and they come to help you. You know, you have trouble finding something out of 10,000 different items, but they find it for you. Spring Valley is a place where I shop, and they carry all of our goodies. A magnesium lotion and spray, the youth formula, the
All the bliss
essentials.
oils.
Yeah, everything, bliss oils especially,
Yeah.
Spring Valley. And, of course, the average person eats far too few vegetables and fruits. The average person gets 2.2 measly servings of fruits and vegetables a day. You need a minimum 5 and preferably 8. And one of the things you can do is add Nature Blessed tart charges concentrate. 2 tablespoons, 1 ounce, is equal to 3.5 servings of fruits and vegetables. That with the measly 2.2 you're able to get leads to adequate fruits and vegetables. Nature Blessed tart cherry juice concentrate in the grocery store at real grocery stores. If they don't have it, they are a fake store.
And not to mention, when you talk about a grocery store, for the most part, what's in the middle of the store, in other words, is for the most, well, you shouldn't be eating that. Let's put it that way. I'm going to stay away from bad words today as much as I can, but junk is junk. Let's put it that way. For the most part. Today, let's jump right into today's conversation, setting intention. And the first thing that comes to mind is every thought is a prayer. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that because we have thousands upon thousands of thoughts. There's actually multiple thoughts floating around in our heads every single moment. And which ones come to the surface, which ones come through, what becomes our reality is a matter of what we condition ourselves, how we train ourselves, the mind, the behavior, the translation of the thoughts, feelings, and emotions into actions, what we do, how we follow through. It all matters. But it all begins with a command center, control center, and that's the brain bucket right here. And that's the most important thing to understand. Without that, nothing else is going to go in the right direction. Or if if you're in the right direction, it's hard to go wrong.
And the best way to train the brain is autogenic training. We've worked with over 35,000 people. And if they will really do autogenic training, it changes your life for the better and the best. Now, you need to do it 18 minutes twice a day for 3 months to train the brain. But after that, a minute or two will get you where you want to be.
And the time period, let's talk about the time period of what to expect. 2 to 3 months is what it takes to establish a habit. You want to establish habits because then once you establish a habit, combination of habits become a lifestyle. Once you have a lifestyle, you are literally living a good life. You are enjoying everything. You are being your best. Now, Dr. Shealy, speaking of lifestyle, there is a number, 2.3%, which is 2.3% of all, I guess, I can say in America, but around the world, I wouldn't be surprised if it was much, around the same. Very small amount of people, percentage-wise, are actually engaging in all the healthy, good things. And I would imagine that even less a percentage are more mindful of their thoughts, feelings, and emotions.
Well, and you can't afford the luxury of negative thinking. Playing broken records, wallowing in manure is not healthy.
Not by any means. Actually, I have an exercise that, it's something that I give to my patients, my clients, and it's basically I call it the word of the day. And the word for the day, for example, for me today was love. Just focusing on feeling love, experiencing love, finding love in every situation, and if there's not enough love in there, bringing it into it because of based on my own intention. And every day I said a word. So go ahead.
And love is the desire to do good to others. Period. That's all it is. Simple, safe, and sane.
And so as I go through the day, I go through situations, and some situations I would normally get agitated, aggravated. Some things are good, pleasant, some things are not pleasant. So with the intention of focus on love, the thought becomes, how do I make this a more loving, beautiful situation? And interestingly enough, even the bad situations, they become better as you go through the day. It doesn't have to be just one word. Another word is, for example, truth, where you can actually focus on your personal truth, your authentic self. Another one is kindness, forgiveness, acceptance, but also some words like a friend of mine gave me a good suggestion, actually. And by the way, thank you, appreciate that. Recharge, regenerate. In other words, there's unlimited number of words that are appropriate. Another word I find very useful in terms of what I need to train is time mastery. Time mastery. In other words, I always like to do a million different things during the day, but sometimes I end up running myself around just like a chicken with the head cut off. So again, focusing on the time, on being being in control of my time and what I do with that and how I feel about it. But there's many different ways. You can apply it to business, you can apply it to personal, you can apply it to relationships. But this is just one of the many ways to tap. You can tap literally into your potential and grow yourself and expand yourself, expand your mind, expand your being. And there's a program called Biogenics, which has over 68 various exercises, including mental, emotional, physical, but also spiritual. And it's not the only tool out there, but it's a wonderful tool. And it was developed, back in the 70s, as a matter of fact, self-regulation, resetting of the autonomic nervous system and central nervous system, which is basically most people in our world today are dysautonomic. Let's put it this way. Autonomia means sympathetic, parasympathetic. Dysautonomia is a fancy word that says something's off kilter. And when that is off kilter, hormones are off kilter, everything is off kilter, health is off kilter.
And you're unhealthy.
Yes.
The key to unhealthy is, not to be focused on health.
Yes. And it's a very simple thing. It's setting intention. There are things that we do, there are things that we don't do. There are things that we should be doing, as a matter of fact. And one of the pieces of homework that I give to my patients, my clients, and I want to leave this with you as well, just to consider and think about. Write this down, think about it. Look at the patterns of your personal life. Which of those patterns, what kind of thoughts, what kind of emotions, what kind of feelings, what kind of actions do you carry on during the day? And just to become aware and mindful, literally mindful, aware of what happens during your day. What makes you upset? What makes you happy? What makes you say that life is worth living? Are you doing those things? Are you paying attention to the important things, like, for example, health, family, uh, purpose, meaning? Or are you running around like a chicken with a head cut off, basically just doing chores? And what is the meaning of those chores? Is that something that you really have to do, or is that something that you've chosen to do? And is it really necessary? Those are all the questions that need to be considered. Uh, Now, health and health behaviors, health is not difficult. Health is actually pretty simple. It's actually complicated to be unhealthy, as a matter of fact, isn't it? I mean, in order to and this is it's an interesting expression, and just feel free to comment, please. But it's a lot more complicated to be sick than to be healthy. To be healthy is actually, what do you need? You need lifestyle, you need certain supplements, you need mental and emotional regulation, which is, again, can be accomplished autogenic training, biogenics, but there's so many other ways. Meditation, deep breathing. There's a lot of ways to get yourself in a better place, uh, and positive healthy mind frame, one that sees challenges as opportunities, one that sees everything that happens as a lesson. And that's another big one. A lot of things happen in life, a lot of setbacks, and that's natural. Now, it's the stronger we are, the stronger the challenges we get. And some of us get stronger challenges than others, unfortunately. Now, in our own personal lives, we do this so that we practice and we perfect ourselves. And for example, I set an intention every single day. Every single day, I set an intention so that I'm training and mastering in my life. And I choose the words carefully. I choose my intention very carefully. You can't set too many intentions all the time. That is the troubles and problems with the New Year's when people set about 100 different intentions. I want to lose weight. I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to become healthy. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to stop that, and and so on and so forth. You need to focus on a certain number of reasonable and plausible, possible things that you can actually reasonably accomplish and maintain. And once you become good at that, well, you move on to something else. The interesting thing about being mindful, purposeful, and please tell me if you feel the same way, is when I do, for example, my meditation or my daily exercise on love, for example, or patience, or just being good to myself, kindness, that stays with me all the other days. And once I start noticing those things, am I being kind to myself? Am I being unkind? Am I being kind to somebody else, to another person? And how can you be good to somebody else if you don't have those things yourself? People who are in pain, people who are anxious, depressed, if you really want the world around you to be better, work on yourself.
And one of my favorites is every day, in every way, I am better and better. Imuku set this in action, well, about 120 years ago. And he claims to have healed over 10,000 people just having them repeat that phrase.
I have another exercise that I give to my clients and my patients, and there's no coincidence that both of us are wearing a coaching T-shirts, because literally what we do is primarily coaching. I mean, yes, there is medicine. Yes, you have to recognize clinical syndromes and criteria and labs and all sorts of stuff. And there is a place for drugs and medicine. But the most important thing that we can do for each other is to help each other along. To walk, to help just walk in the person's path and just figure out, how does the path get better? How do you improve? How do you help another person? That's what coaching is all about. If anybody has ever had a sports coach or training coach, or any kind of coach, it's a process of self knowledge. It's a process of self improvement, and the coach is there to make sure that you are following the path. The coach is not there to give you the results. The coach is there to guide you to the results. And that's another important distinction for anyone who is listening. And this is a proactive process. Now, we do have about a 15% ratio of people who did not succeed with biogenics and self-regulation. And that has to do with primarily, I imagine, not following the program.
It doesn't work if you don't do it.
Right.
And it does work virtually 100% of the time for people who really do it.
Yes.
And of course, there is the biogenics course with a huge number of the exercises that we found helpful in over 35,000 people.
I think last time I checked, there was over 36,000 already. So
Right.
yeah, I just the numbers keeps growing. It is actually fascinating. But think of it in the opposite. In other words, I don't want to go into the negatives, but I do want to bring this up. If you were to say to yourself every day and in every way, instead of every day and in every way I am getting better and better, try to say this out loud in front, in front of the mirror or to yourself. Every day and in every way, I'm getting worse and worse. Every day and in every way, I love being miserable. Every day and in every way, I love being upset at things. I love not having control. I love being in pain. I love being depressed. That's why I do it, because I love it. Okay, now let me just bring the concept of this through. This is about responsibility. Now, I'm not saying that everything that happens to you, everything that happens to me is our direct responsibility on every level. But how we respond to it, how we go about it, is 90% of the answer. Between a stimulus and response, there's a freedom of choice. Viktor Frankl, author of logotherapy. So, if a person continues to have chronic medical problems, chronic issues, chronic depression, anxiety, not enjoying your life, at some point there is a decision that's set in with an internal agreement inside your being that this is okay, even though it's crappy. But something about you has agreed that that's okay and that's why it's continuing. Feel free to jump in, please.
You have to set the intention of health and wellness and happiness. It's that simple. Don't allow any other thought into your mind. So it's raining today. It's snowing today. It's cold today. Who cares? It has no effect upon you other than what you give it.
And
Well, I mean, I prefer summer and spring and fall, but most places in the world, you are going to have some winter and get to, well, accept it.
let's take it to a metaphysical level, from just pure weather to the weather around us, emotional weather, mental weather, family, work, environment, news, the world. Is your world peaceful? If your world is not peaceful, if there's stuff all around, and right now the world is not peaceful by any means, I mean, there's no peace whatsoever as far as wherever you look, you have to make a decision. How much is it worth to you to make your internal peace? And
Well, if you can change it and are willing to put your life energy into it, go for it. If you can't change government, you can't change the media, you can't change most things outside yourself. So, at the top of the list is weight. Over 72% are overweight. It's the number one cause of premature death. I have never been above a body mass index of 24. In fact, right now it's at 18. Every pound above body mass index of 24 weakens your system at all levels. Number two, eat a minimum of 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, and preferably 8. Number three, exercise a minimum of 30 minutes, 5 days a week. I only do right now 90 minutes a day, but I like that. I enjoy it. It's an essential part of my life. And sleep 7 or 8 hours every night. I do not do anything that interferes with my sleep after 8 or 9 o'clock at the latest.
indeed, And one more other factor that we talk about is stress, and we talked plenty about that. That's as much of a factor in health and as anything else, literally. So there you have it. If you don't have those habits, wait, this reminds me. Remember the biogenics exercise?
Yeah.
Yeah, and one specifically, honoring my body. And that's the one that actually came to me in a meditation. And Dr. Norman Shealy and myself have developed several other new modalities since we have, since we've been working on biogenics, put it into that online format. And one of the keys in that exercise is literally setting intention. If you remember, it just basically goes through I honor my body. I set the intention of honoring my physical body. I honor my body with exercise that it needs. I honor it with the right amount of nutrition and the right type of nutrition. I honor it with a sleep, with a rest. I honor it with proper relaxation when I need to, and so on and so forth. But it's really literally setting that intention every single day. And it's good to do that. And if that's your focus, if you want it to be physically well, you want to do some kind of a setting intention. Now, that's one of the ways that we do that and we actually set it to binaural beats so it can actually get into the brain faster. But the short of it is you've got to set the intention. If you don't set the intention, the rest of the environment is going to set the intention for you. You're going to be responding to various things. And you have to know what you want out of life.
And my favorite word in the entire universe is detach. If I cannot change it, I detach. I will not allow it to consume me.
Which is very different, by the way, than some people's concept of detachment, which is just I'm hopeless, I'm helpless, or letting go. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, go ahead, please.
Well, we're talking about focusing on the positive.
That's right, making a decision, an intention, and the other thing is you gotta follow through. It's not just the words. If a person says, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do biogenics, I'm gonna do autogenic training, I'm gonna engage in exercise, lifestyle, I wanna change my life for the better. I want to be the best of myself, and they don't follow through. What good is that? Well, it's good. It's better than having negative thoughts, but it's not enough. You've got to follow through. Whatever you do in the physical world, if you want it to become into physical reality, you've got to put physical efforts into this,
And mental.
and mental, of course. In short, shall we review just briefly the concept of holism as opposed to other things? Holism, spirit. We are created in the image and likeness of the Creator with capacity to co-create. Soul, we're here to express our individual being. We come in through this physical bodies. There's a control center, the mind, the brain, and we get to control that. We get to be in charge of that. If we're not, somebody else will be more than happy to take on over and tell us what to do and how to feel. And trust me, there's plenty of forces in our society, culture, families, everything that does that for us, unless we take charge personally. And of course, there's the physical, and physical includes patterns of behavior, lifestyle, but also many other things.
Thinking sets in motion spiritual forces to bring about change in body, mind, companions, hopes, and despairs. Think positive. Create positive.
Create your best life. Now,
And you are responsible for it. I can't do it for you. I can suggest ways to practice, but I cannot think for you.
and that's perfectly it. What is the word responsible? And I love words, I love playing with words. Able to respond. That's what it is. You're able to respond, and you are responsible to respond.
And this is conscientiousness, the most important attitude in the world. Responsible and choosing the way you think and behave.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Okay, we're clear.
And now we're on a break.
And now it is your turn to ask questions about anything, because everything is related to you. 417-447-1777. You get a free response from the health coaches
Mhm.
of the world.
Actually, speaking of the world, I've had more consults last week from around the world than I had from Springfield. Telephone from Europe, from actually a couple from Latin America. I had a few of those, and actually, well, various places. Go ahead. Is there a comment there? Or
There's a question.
a question?
Yeah,
let's take that. Yeah.
Okay. A question on the internet: is there a supplement to help prevent macular degeneration?
Indeed, the two most important ones are astaxanthin, Astaxanthin, and taurine. Absolutely essential for the eyes.
Hmm. And macular degeneration is not the same as cataracts, by the way.
Oh,
They're
no,
very
totally
different
different.
type of conditions. So for cataracts, by the way, because I know there's a question on cataracts every single show, so I just want to spearhead that ahead of time. Castor oil, USP grade, little tiny bottle, 1 drop in the eye at night, 1 or 2 drops. It's incredibly healing. Wonderful.
You want to take another question?
Okay, yeah, we got another question. Yeah.
This question is talking about fingernails. My nails seem to be worse than ever. They split, they tear, they peel. I take vitamins daily. What else should she do?
Well, I would suggest you get a high sensitivity C-reactive protein and find out how much inflammation is in your body. That's the key to the answer. Now, it could be a deficiency of boron or deficiency of magnesium, but start with HSCRP.
And that's a blood work. That's a test.
Yes.
And another thing that I think would be helpful. I don't know how you feel about that. Is to get a comprehensive nutrient and mineral panel,
Right.
and that tells you exactly where you are, what you're deficient in. And by the way, if a person is deficient in vitamin D or magnesium, trust me, you are deficient in about 100 different other things. And about what percentage of people are deficient in vitamin D and magnesium? I would say most of them, right?
Well, vitamin D is at the top of the list in immune function. And the average American, well, doesn't get it a natural way, which is be outside in the sunshine. You know, if you could spend an hour outside, essentially naked in the sun every day, you probably would have enough. But who can do that in all year? So if you weigh 140 pounds or more, you take 50,000 units of D3 once a week. If you weigh less than 140, you take it the 1st, 10th, and 20th of every month.
Actually, since we have an audience on YouTube and Facebook, I'd like to have a show of hands, so to speak, or feedback. What is your word of the day? If you were to set a word of the day, intention, for what you want to accomplish, what you want to perfect, master in life. Because mastery comes in bits and pieces. In other words, you train a little bit, you train on one thing, you train on another thing, and then it all comes together. But you got to keep practicing. So, what is your desire? What is your intention for the day? And I would actually even dare you even higher up. What is your intention for your life? Where do you see yourself at the end of the journey? That's another big one. You know,
And health is the key.
And health is the key. There's one exercise that I've used for a long time, and and I do this generally in the setting of mild hypnosis because it can be very traumatic, and I'll come back to that.
Yeah, we're getting ready to come back in.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to come back in. I'm just listening.
Okay.
cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters, 92.3 KICK and 99.5 KADI.
Now, back to Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Norm Shealy and Dr. Sergey Sorin.
And now is your time to ask your question by phone. 417-447-1777.
Call us with anything, any questions, any thoughts, but also any comments. And I do want to say this, if we don't have any callers in the meantime. This is another wonderful exercise that, again, I do under general mild hypnosis, but can be pretty intense at times. And I call this the end of the life journey, or in other words, the end journey. Visualize yourself. Again, this can be pretty intense, and if there's something that troubles you, then please don't. But this has to be done under careful duration. But this is one of the most strongest things that I use in terms of counseling and otherwise. If you don't know who you are, if you don't know what's important, if you don't know if you're doing something that is true to yourself, in other words, authentic, the key is the thing that that you can do is visualize yourself at the end of the journey, right there on the deathbed, and just visualize who are you surrounded by, what is the environment, what have you accomplished. Visualize, see all that, and this is basically the time when you're done with this life. Have you done what you came here to do? And if you haven't, and if the trajectory that you're going on, and trust me, we all can tell if we're going in the right direction or not. Uh, if you're not going in the right direction, what kind of intentions are you setting? Rethink that.
And the time has come, the Waller said, to speak of many things, and the top of the list is health.
Use health.
We have
And if you're not healthy, or you're not going towards health, then do so. Okay, we got a caller.
And
Yes.
you're on the air.
Yes, hold on. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hi.
Okay. Yes.
Hello.
Okay. Question?
I have a question on PEMF. I know it can be used for anxiety. Is there any contraindications for manic episodes?
For manic episodes with PEMF, no, that's not a contraindication. Actually, what the gamma does is it should hopefully put you in the place where in the zone. In other words, not hyper, not low, not depression, and that's. But we haven't done the research per se on with that specific condition.
And it is safe 24 hours a day, except when you're in a shower or bathtub.
As a matter of fact, if you want to give a PMF a go and give us a call, there is a third setting that I suspect would be very helpful, which is the delta. Delta is 0 to 3 cycles per second, and there it supports not only deep sleep, so rest at night, stage 3 sleep. Also, it supports relaxation of the nervous system, and that may be helpful. Gamma is the other one that I would consider strongly because gamma literally optimizes, puts in the zone. I think it's worth a shot.
Okay. And I wondered if there's any specific supplements you use for that too.
Perfect. I was just going to go there, just see if you were interested in that information. Yes, you need to have a basic essential good B complex or essentials. Dr. Shealy's has a good combination in that. Youth formula, which is vitamin C, molybdenum, MSM, gives you plenty of immune support, but also gives you DHEA support, anti-stress wellness, magnesium lotion or spray, topical, vitamin D3, and then I would also, at the very bare minimum, I would do something called lithium orotate at between 20 to 30 milligrams, together with tryptophan. Tryptophan is an amino acid anywhere from, I would say, from 3 to 7 grams on this, depending on the level of, how you're feeling. That's a precursor to serotonin. You take that in the morning, serotonin becomes melatonin at night, so preferably good day and then good night. And then there is something called taurine. Taurine is another semi-essential amino acid that literally stabilizes the electromagnetic potential across the cell membrane. Makes it work better. Do you have any other suggestions? Yeah. No?
Well, taurine works synergistically with magnesium to quiet the nervous system.
So those are the beginning things to consider. And then, of course, setting the intention and realizing that you're stronger than whatever condition you have. You're there to learn from it. That's the different perspective.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for calling.
Yeah. I hope that helps. Yeah.
And we have another call.
All right.
You're on
Oops.
the air. Oops. They hung up.
Call back.
So 417-447-1777, your time to get your question answered about anything related to health, because everything is. And are you worth it?
Mhm.
Well, everybody is worth it if they choose health. If you choose unhealthy behavior, well, good on you, mate, but it ain't going to be healthy. And you're on the air.
Hello.
Hi, this is Helene from Reno, Nevada.
Hello. How are
Wonderful.
you? Yeah.
Good. My husband just had his annual, and on the A1C it says 5.9,
Mm-hmm.
and when they show you the ranges, that's on the higher spectrum. What do you think?
I'll address it. This is called pre-diabetes in conventional terms, which is kind of basically BS. I'm just going to put it that way. Here's why. If a woman comes into my office and she says to me that she's just a little bit pregnant, does that make any sense? In other words, either there is pregnancy process in the works, whether it's early or not, or there is not. So same thing with the metabolic syndrome. This is what we're talking about in metabolic syndrome. And when there's diabetes, there is generally I watch out for the blood pressure, for the cholesterol, for the triglycerides, for the how much spare tire a person has around them. It's called the metabolic syndrome, and there is a reason for that. The metabolism is off. There is an easy way to control that. Very, very easy way to control that. And I would treat it as seriously as I would diabetes because this is something that you catch in early on in the process, and you can actually annihilate it. You can make that go away. The key there, lifestyle. We talked about that. Stress management, certain supplements, the basics that we mentioned, but also a few other things: trichromium, gymnema, and of course keeping an eye on hemoglobin A1Cs with a goal of under 5.6 under. And that's when you know you're okay. But it's a wonderful opportunity. Think of it as a sensor to tell you, to remind you, hey, the metabolism is going off kilter. A lot of other things are happening as well. Pay attention.
And it is reversible.
It is reversible.
So I think I'll tell him to take those 2 supplements that you just recommended.
Yes.
And minimize carbohydrate.
Yes.
White.
Yeah, he has a lot of really good, he has very minimal carbohydrates. He's taken all the vitamins that vitamin tours, but he has one thing. I mean, he's a thin guy.
Mm.
He exercises.
Yeah.
He has one thing that is very bad is his sleep.
Mm.
Well,
Well,
you can't, there's no substitute for sleep. People who sleep 6 hours or less cause more automobile accidents than all drunks and drug addicts.
and Helen, and I know we've talked about it several times. Sleep is not just something that you should be doing just because. Sleep is what allows the brain, the body to regenerate. There are circadian rhythms. There are cycles that occur, healing cycles for the liver, for the spleen, for the gut, for the for the lungs, for the pancreas. That's where again that's where you get into trouble with diabetes. It's an endocrine condition. You've got to normalize and allow yourself to be okay. Now, is there a reason for the sleep or for the lack of sleep, or is that?
It's a bad habit that he's had his whole life.
Well, the time has come to change to good habit.
Set the intention?
Okay, I'll have him listen to this on archive.
Yes,
Can I
please.
get another question?
Of course.
Yes, of course, yeah.
I heard the 2 of you talk about the word youthful longevity. Can you talk about that?
Youthful
Yes.
longevity, yes.
Ordinarily, optimally healthy people lose 1% a year of the length of your telomeres, the tips of your DNA. Well, obviously, the average American did pretty poorly because they average death is 78 or 79 instead of 100. So all the good habits, but there are 2 ways you can regenerate the telomeres. The use of fire, earth, and crystal bliss daily will regrow your telomeres 3.5% every year of your life. The only alternative that I know is to expose yourself to DNA frequencies of 54 to 78 billion cycles a second for an hour a day with rejuvenators. But you have no choice but to regenerate if you want to rejuvenate.
Yes, the other aspect of youthful longevity is there is not only is it possible, but it's probable that a person can live beyond 100. Of course, they would have to have all the basics, lifestyle, stress management, the proper supplementation, make sure that you adjust to the life in the environment. But it's also setting intention, and it's also following through with the things that support the process. And by the way, setting the intention in terms of the youthful longevity or aging is a huge thing, and I'm glad we're talking about this because how many people have jokingly or seriously have said that my father or my mother lived to this age, or my family did this, so I'm going to be dead by fill in the blank. 50, 40. One person said to me 28. That was a 24-year-old gentleman who was into a lot of trouble in the emergency room. Literally, people set their time of death and they set what's going to happen simply by the intention. And why is that? Because they follow through with those actions, and there's an outcome that leads from the action.
And Erickson, one of the great hypnotherapists, said most people set the time or age and cause of death early in life, in the first 10 or 12 years of life.
And that's actually one very important thing to analyze and to understand about yourself. So literally, when you have a little quiet time, ask yourself, and this is a good exercise, Helena, just get into meditative space, maybe do a little autogenic or one of the biogenics exercises, and just literally ask yourself, what is my expectation for me for life? In other words, I can tell you mine. I'm planning to go to 140, and that's my intention, and I want to do it healthily. In other words, if it's not healthful, I'm not interested in longevity. In other words, there's some people go long time, but they're in nursing home status, can't think, can't function. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about purposeful, beautiful, amazing, functional life where you feel good and you do good. But literally, just one of the things, besides even all the mechanical things, or the bliss oils or the frequencies, you have to have the intention. The best frequency, the most important frequency, is what comes out of the brain, the decision.
Oh, thank you. I love that. Do you have other polls to make a comment?
Please. That's fine. Yeah, I'd love to.
So I was reading about a book from copyright in 2011, and this guy, the author was talking about magnesium spray, and that it's a miracle thing. And in his introduction, he mentioned you, and he said Dr. Norman Shealy is the only one that ever mentioned that it should be done transdermally. And I said, it's not to take it as a vitamin, and you have to have it coming in the skin. I don't know. I'll email you the name of the book, but I love that you mentioned you.
What wonderful. He's wise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Ellie.
Appreciate you. Yes.
All right, there's another call.
Another call?
And you're on the air.
Hello, Dr. Shealy, Dr.
Yeah. Hi.
So my question is, I've been waking up with this very crazy term in the morning. What do you think causes it, and how can I treat it?
Okay. The connection wasn't the greatest for the. I got that something waking up in the morning. Can you repeat?
White,
Yes. So
greasy
I've
tongue.
been waking up with white, greasy tongue in the morning.
White, greasy tongue in the morning, waking up. Does it go away towards the later day?
Yes. I mean, sometimes I'll just clean it with a cleaner in the morning when I wake up, I gargle. And I've been taking the probiotic that Dr. Shealy recommends. I take one capsule every morning, but still I wake up with this white greasy tongue, and sometimes there's a bitter taste also, and sometimes there's not.
I suggest you get a blood level of B12 and folic acid.
Dr. Shealy, I also take your food formula and all the eco beans. So I've been taking a lot of supplements, and I take like a B12 supplement also.
Good.
But sometimes when you take the supplements, and that's wonderful, I love what you're doing. If there's absorption issues, it may not come through in terms of between what you're taking and what you're getting. So that's why I fully agree. I think B12 and the blood work And yeah, that's
You absorbing it.
that's one question. Now it doesn't sound like it's thrush necessarily, because thrush wouldn't go away after the morning.
Right.
So that's a little different. That is an interesting situation. Have you seen any doctors about this so far?
I have not. I have not since it, it just happened in the morning and when I cleaned it, I spoke it during the day
Mm.
and, I have had, I've called it earlier, but you probably don't have my history. I haven't Autogenic, but
Mm.
I had had like a episode, like a panic attack episode last year during the pandemic.
Mm.
And since then, my stomach has been a little jittery and, I've had
Mm.
this, just like general anxiety, fear of death and all that. I've got much better since then, but the stomach hasn't come back to its like normal state.
Can I let me share something with you, please? The GI system, gastrointestinal system, is one of the most sensitive correlations. You've heard the term brain-gut connection, right?
I sure am. You are
Yes,
right.
yes. This is what we're talking about, the brain-gut connection. When the brain is under stress, or in other words, your being is under stress, the immune system goes down, and it's easier for not just for the organism, for the fungal, for the for the bacterial, viral things, but also for just all sorts of things that go wrong to take place. And are you practicing biogenics or Autogenic training or some sort?
I have the course. I got the
Yes.
course, many months ago. I've been a regular Dr. Shealy and your supplement for like
Wonderful.
a year now. And I got the course. I meditate, but
Wonderful.
it's just so overwhelming. Last year I was in India and, during the second wave, it was like a utter devastation. So I can't explain to you what I went through. It was just traumatic.
Mm.
And, I've been trying a lot of things to bring the brain back to like a normal, it's as if the nervous system is like stuck in survival. Like I'm hypervigilant and,
Gotcha.
just fearful and frightened and scared of, what might happen now, what might happen, what this new variant is around, what might happen, even though I'm taking care of my body, I exercise, I take supplements, but that mind hasn't come back, or the nervous system hasn't come back to like a normal
Yes.
panic attack episode.
I would suggest you try limonene. I have a feeling that it's something due to the digestive system. And limonene is very safe, and within a week you would know the difference.
And it's interesting how you that's wonderful. What Dr. Shealy mentioned, you nailed it. You got it. The central nervous system, autonomic nervous system, is intimately connected to everything else, especially the gastrointestinal system and the immune system. So I think the first thing that maybe should be happening is to set the intention, full intention of following through, and you're following through. You're doing good, but to literally set the intention and know that you got this. Not just think that you got this. Know that you got this. And how I'm going to say this is, you're every human being, all of us, brothers and sisters, all around the world, we are all created perfect, so to speak. We're all created in the image and likeness of the Creator, and we get to co-create. So we have the power to determine our own life and destiny, and just to think and to understand. Remember, literally, that you've got that power. Now, will it take a little time and a few other things, perhaps? Yes, possibly. I hope you're taking the support, lithium orotate, taurine and tryptophan that can calm the nervous system down, that can help relax things, stabilize, and the PEMF, pulse electromagnetic field device. Those are the two things bioelectrically and magnetically or biochemically and electromagnetically, excuse me, that would make the most sense. What would you say in terms?
Well, I agree.
Mhm.
But I would start with limonene.
Dr. Shealy had mentioned something which I think I didn't really catch it, something that you would know in a week, for like the stomach.
Limonene, yes.
Limonene, limonene.
Okay.
And if do that first, and you'll know whether it's enough to take effect or not. and then all the rest of it. But bottom line is, and I tell this to everybody. I tell this to all my clients, family, friends. Anybody who's willing to listen. We've got the power. We have the capacity. Everything we ever needed is within us, and so we can beat whatever it is that's facing us, or we can learn from it, or whichever way. But either way, we have the power. That's don't forget that.
This is very encouraging, doctor, and I love you so much.
Blessings.
Blessings.
So much.
Bless-
Genuine than your heart.
Blessings to you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Another call.
Another call. Yeah, great.
You on the air?
Hi, Dr. Shealy, Dr. Sorin. I was wondering, white spots on the fingernails, you usually hear zinc, but I noticed with my son, when he takes zinc, which he does every day, that it seems like things get worse.
White spots on the fingernails and the association with zinc getting worse with that. What do you think?
Well, how old is he?
12.
And his normal weight?
Slightly under.
Well, I would possibly, check the zinc level and find out.
I did. They're average but low.
Average but low. So
Yeah.
I mean, within the
Range, yeah.
range.
I would consider adding, and you'll tell within a week or two. Quercetin. Quercetin.
He takes 250 a day.
Yes, fantastic. Yeah. So you're good. You're on the
And how
whole
much zinc is he taking?
Well, I'm a patient of you guys, so he is as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's any other thoughts about the correlation between the zinc and the fingernails?
No, I would like his blood level. And if it's low, I would increase the zinc.
So, do you think I could go above? We're doing 30 a day,
Uh,
30 milligrams,
let's ask a question. What's the weight in terms of pounds or kilograms?
60 pounds.
60
60
pounds.
pounds. Wow.
Do you think we can go to 50 or 60 of zinc? What do you think?
Try it
Yeah.
for 6
How will
weeks.
I know if it's too much?
Yeah, at least 6 weeks to find out.
Yeah, GI is the most common effect, if there's going to be an effect. Gastrointestinal, nausea or diarrhea or something of that nature. That's the first thing, yeah. So that if that happens, back off on the zinc, then back to the
Right.
previous level. But yeah, that's one way to do that.
Okay, and then I have another question.
Mhm.
How much B12 is too much? Because, for example, I take some of your products that have B12 in it, and then I'm taking like the Cardio Miracle drink, which has B. It seems like everyone does this like 150 micrograms. That 6,000.
You've got to wrap it up.
That's yep, and actually we'll continue talking, but this is officially the end of the program, radio
Oh,
program.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Stay on, please. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see you next week, whatever you want to say.
Well,
Okay, hang on. Okay.
very good. Okay, so let's continue. So let's talk about the optimal dose of B12.
Okay, can you hear her?
So there's a supplement I wanted to add. With you guys, I'm trying to boost my thyroid, and I don't want to take the armor, so I tried some other things, and I found this Thyroid Alive, which was, it's supposed to, it's almost like a precursor to things, but it's got another 150 micrograms of B12, and I'm like, I'm going to throw that into all these. I've taken a boatload of B12.
Now, it is possible to have too much of B12 as well. So I think you've got more than enough right where you are.
So don't take this product.
I wouldn't necessarily add that. It's there's a golden center. There's a middle of the road. In other words, the too little is obviously not good, but if you take more than necessary.
And if you like the flavor of liver, calf's liver is the single best natural source of B12.
So maybe instead of the new supplement, add a little bit of that.
Yeah, better to go right to the food source.
I think there's an old expression, I believe, Hippocrates, I believe, said that,
And you will find it at Heart House.
yeah, let food be thy medicine, or thy medicine will become thy food, or something of that nature. But so, yeah, thank you for calling, and get back to us. Let us know how it goes, please.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys so much. You're so wonderful.
Pleasure.
Blessings.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Mhm. And if we have any comments or statements from the YouTube or Facebook Live, we're happy to address that.
Yeah, hang on just a second. Yeah, let me get back here. Okay.
And if there's anybody who, if people have left their intentions or words for the day or intentions for life, let's talk about that as well.
Okay. We did have a question on the internet. My husband has a blood clot. He is on blood thinners and knows his ankle is swelling up again, painful and swollen. What do you suggest?
Ooh, there are times, and this is emergency room talking here, my ER experience. I'm still emergency room doc, so close to heart. You could have a clot. You could have a clot expanding and evolving even despite coagulation. And that is a situation that's going to require an ultrasound at the very least. And maybe it's perhaps some blood work, that there's a testicle D-dimer, and so on and so forth. If that's indeed the case, the next step may have to be, first of all, to figure out, and of course, to figure out why that's happening, in other words, why the predisposition, but also sometimes what they do is they put a filter or like an umbrella type of a device that catches clots, closer to where it, proximal, in other words, so it doesn't go into the heart, into the lungs. That's a big one, and it needs to be checked out.
You
No
could
question.
try putting castor oil on the area and wrapping overnight.
Well, castor oil is actually fantastic in so many ways.
Yeah.
Detoxification, lymph, it's wonderful.
Okay. And
Anybody?
I was
Or?
going to give you the one words.
Oh, yes. Let's go through the words. Okay,
Oh.
that's so we started the conversation with what is your intention? What is your word for the day that you want to focus on, become aware, and train in your life, master. So
Okay.
what do we got?
Breathe,
Breathe. Yes.
happy,
Happy.
gratitude,
Gratitude.
grateful,
Grateful.
fulfilled,
Fulfilled.
purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was all.
That's a good start.
And detach
Yeah,
everything negative.
that was all of them.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. But please realize that these words are not the limit. That's only the beginning. Whatever you need in your life, there's an expression. If ask and thou shalt receive. In other words, it may not happen overnight. It may not happen on your timeline. But ask and thou shalt receive. And make sure you know what you're asking for. Make sure that you're asking for the positive. Make sure you're asking for what makes you your best authentic you. And if you have any negative in your life, if you're thinking thoughts that are basically not conducive, terrible, or in other words, self-blaming, self-limiting, catch that. Become aware. And that's another factor. Know thyself. That's the power of holistic medicine. It's not that, it's not that conventional medicine is bad medicine, but it only looks at the physical. There's so much more to who we are. Spirit, soul, mind, body. This is holism. Thanks.
And until next week, have a good one.
Yep.